the warm clouds. Okay, the growth of cloud droplets in the warm clouds. And in the previous classes, we have discussed many things about the relation between the droplets growth and the supersaturation, the relative humidity, the droplet concentration, the kind of cloud condensation nuclei which are there in the atmosphere, CCN, etc., etc. Those things we have discussed. We also discussed that how from a tiny nuclei, cloud condensation nuclei, let us say of the size 0.1 micron, okay, radius of 0.1 micron grows into tiny droplets of water of the size about 10 micrometer, okay, and then further into a large cloud droplets of 50 micron, and then further into 100 microns, and then into a raindrop, okay, raindrop of about 1 millimeter size or so, okay, 1,000 micron millimeter, okay, with number concentration and the terminal velocity. Today we shall discuss about the terminal velocity, that how we can estimate or compute the terminal velocity of the water droplets, okay, terminal velocity of the water droplets. And as you know, when the water droplets inside the cloud, they are growing, they come under the grip of the Earth's gravity. More is their mass, more is the impact of gravity upon them, right? And so because of the gravity, the droplets start descending, right, towards the ground. Okay, so that depends on the size of the droplets, mass of the droplets, etc. And when they start descending, then they sweep the smaller droplets which fall at a slower terminal velocity in its way towards ground. Okay, and when they sweep the smaller droplets, some of them they collide and merge into one. Others they are just deflected away, and that way also the droplets keep growing inside. Okay, so that is the growth of droplet by collisions between two droplets. The other one, which you have studied and discussed in quite in detail, are the condensation and coalescence process, right? Which we have discussed earlier, that when water vapor condenses on CCNs, the cloud condensation nuclei, starting from the very small embryonic size, depending upon the supersaturation which are present, more and more water vapor accumulates on the drops and it keeps growing, right? And once they grow sufficiently inside, then they start falling down with the terminal velocity. So how to compute the terminal velocity, right? That's what we are going to discuss today. What is the terminal velocity? We are going to discuss today. Okay. Well, everything that is under the grip of the gravity is pulled toward the surface of the earth. That was discovered many years ago, even by the Newton's law of gravitation. All of you have studied. But also Galileo, you must have heard about the Galileo. He also demonstrated this by dropping a leaf from the top of a tower, and then showed that how two objects of different sizes and weights will descend down toward the surface at a different velocity. Okay, so that was demonstrated by Galileo. And Galileo, was a great scientist of his time. He discovered so many things. Actually, people say that also, of course, in our ancient scriptures, already we know that, for example, the earth is rotating around the sun, right? We have been knowing this for thousands of years because of our, it says in our scriptures by the great sages, rishis and munis. But somehow, many people don't try to take that or believe that, because many things were not recorded in those days. But what was recorded from the say time of Galileo is that Galileo also first time discovered that now the Earth is rotating around the sun, and people did not believe that. As you might have read in books, that people at the time of Galileo did not believe that the Earth rotates around the sun. Okay, and that was against the known theories. In those days, the churches used to be very, very strong. You might have heard about that. And Galileo was probably an Italian scientist. So the church did not agree with him, and they thought that he's just trying to speak against the convention things. And then he was put into house arrest. I don't know whether you have read this story or not. That Galileo was put into house arrest because of his belief. So many scientific beliefs, so many scientific experiments he conducted, but more so, on the matter that he said, the Earth is rotating around the sun. That was just not accepted or digested by the church of those days, and so he was put into house arrest. In those days. Later on, of course, in the beginning of the 19th century or 20th century, the church realized that it was a great mistake that was conducted, and Galileo's theory was accepted. But before that itself, it was accepted, in fact. So what I'm trying to say is that this falling down of the objects under the grip of the gravity has been known for many, many years, right? And same thing also occurs when the cloud droplets are falling down. Okay, so Galileo showed that freely falling bodies with different masses fall through a given distance in the same time, that is, they experience the same acceleration. Okay. However, this is true only if the force acting on the body due to gravity is much greater than the frictional drag on the body due to the air, and if the density of the body is much greater than the density of the air. Right? When an object is falling down, it also encounters or experiences the drag force. Okay, the frictional drag force because of the air present around it. Right? So the frictional drag force, and that also depends upon the mass of the object. Okay. So let us consider the general case of a body of density, say rho prime, and volume v prime falling through a still air of density rho. Okay, the air density is rho, and the body's density is rho prime, like raindrop. For example, raindrop will have its own density. Okay, it will have its own volume, while the air density will be different. Right. So let us say the air density is rho, and the density of the water droplets which is falling down through the air is rho prime, and its volume is v prime. Okay, so the downward force acting on the body due to the gravity will be rho prime v prime g. Okay, where v prime is the volume, rho prime is the density, and g is the acceleration due to gravity. And the upward force that was actually given by the Archimedes. You might have studied in your school science, Archimedes principle, okay, the buoyancy. So the upward force acting on the body due to the mass of air displaced by the body is rho v prime. Okay, that is the upward force acting on the raindrop which is falling down. Okay. So in addition, the air exerts a drag force denoted by, let us say, F drag on the body, which acts upward. Okay, the drag force acts upward, the acceleration due to gravity acts downward, and also the buoyancy force acts upward. Okay, so the body will attain a steady terminal fall speed when the three forces are in balance. That is, rho prime p prime p prime g equal to this will be rho prime p prime g is equal to rho prime p prime g plus F drag. So combinedly, the drag force and the buoyancy force should be equal to the force of gravity which is pulling down the water droplet. Or if the body is a sphere of radius r, when you can compute the drag force, F drag is equal to 4 by 3 pi r cube, which is the volume of the water droplets, times g, times rho prime minus rho. That is the difference in the density between the water droplets and the air density. So that is the drag force, okay, acting upon the water droplet, okay, of radius r. All right. and density rho prime. So for S pairs with radius which is less than 20 micron, okay, the F drag is approximated as 6 pi eta times RV. Okay, the drag force is approximated for smaller droplets whose size is less than or equal to 20 microns. Okay, where in which case the V is the terminal velocity. This V is the terminal velocity of the raindrop. Okay, eta is the viscosity of the air, and R is the radius of the water droplets. So for tiny droplets, now, and that we know in the beginning phase or stage of the formation of the water droplets, they are very small in size. It can be 0.1 micron, even 1 micron, 10 micron. So for droplets which are less than 20 micron in size, the drag force acting upon those droplets can be approximated by this formula. Okay, drag force is 6 pi eta. Eta is the viscosity, R is the radius, and V here is the terminal velocity, okay, of the water droplets. So from the last two equations, we can write the terminal velocity as 2 by 9 times g times rho prime minus rho times r square divided by eta, okay, viscosity. So this is the expression of the terminal velocity that we can obtain from the previous two equations. All right. Now, if rho prime is much greater than rho, sorry, is the screen visible to you? Something happened suddenly. Is my screen visible to you? Am I audible to all of you?
Yes, sir. It's
Okay, just a minute. Okay, yeah, probably. Okay. So, sorry. All right. Yeah. So I'm audible and visible, and the screen is also visible, right? Yes or no?
yes, sir.
Okay. So if the density of the water droplets is much greater than the density of the air, that means rho prime is much larger than rho, which is most of the time it is true. Okay. And for the liquid or solid objects, then we can approximate the above equation as V is equal to 2 by 9 times g rho prime r square by eta. Okay, this is the terminal velocity. Okay, so the terminal fall speeds of 10 to 20 micron radius water droplets in air at say 1013 hectopascal pressure, that means the surface pressure normally, and at 20 degrees centigrade temperature is estimated from this equation as about 0.3 and 1.2 centimeter per second. Okay, the droplets having radius of 10 micron. Okay, the water droplets having radius of 10 micron will have a terminal velocity of 0.3 centimeter per second, and the one which is larger, 20 micron, will have a terminal velocity of 1.2 centimeter per second. Okay, from this equation, the terminal fall speed of water droplet with radius 40 micron is obviously much larger. Okay, 4.7 centimeter per second estimated from this equation, which is about 10% less than what is given by actually equation 12. It is 10% less. No, that means it is estimated less, and that is because the water droplets of water drops of radius 100 micron or even larger 1 millimeter or even further larger like raindrops of 4 millimeter have the fall speeds of this one 25.6, 403 and 883 centimeter per second respectively, which are also much less than what is estimated from this equation. Okay, much less than. So that is because as the raindrop size increases, it becomes increasingly non-spherical. Okay, all these calculations are based upon the assumption that the raindrops are spherical in shape, but as they grow in size, they are no longer spherical. Okay, the shape changes. All right. So therefore, this equation is not valid exactly, and therefore the velocity estimated, the terminal velocity estimated from this equation is less than what is the actual terminal velocity. Okay, and as I said, that this is because uh, as it becomes larger, it becomes increasingly non-spherical and has an increasing wake. Okay, when the droplets are falling down, you know what is wake area, right? Wake. Uh, for example, when we say that initially the droplets may be like a spherical size, then it can change in shape and then become like this one. Okay, and it can also become of different size, shape. Okay, so the wake area, okay, the wake area becomes different. Okay, and larger this area, as you know, the larger will be the buoyancy. Okay, from the Archimedes principle, more and more buoyancy will act, the upward drag force will act upon that. Okay, so the the estimated velocity is not exact in such cases. Okay, so this gives rise to a drag force because larger the velocity, larger will be the drag force of air. Okay, on acting upon them, and so therefore the terminal velocity is slowed down. Okay, terminal velocity is slowed down. So that's about the estimation, approximate estimation of the terminal velocity of raindrops when its size is about 10 to 20 micron. I mean, this is more true when the size of the raindrops are about 10 to 20 micron. Okay. Now let's discuss about the growth by the collection. Okay. We discuss about the terminal velocity before this because the growth by collection depends upon the terminal velocity. Collection, that means when they grow, when the droplets collide with each other because of the different terminal velocities, then the larger drops start collecting or sweeping away the smaller drops and merge into one and becomes further larger. And there is a much rapid process of droplet growth size than simply by the condensation and coalescence. Okay, so now let's see a little bit in detail about the growth of droplet by collection. Okay, so in warm clouds, the growth of some droplets from the relatively small sizes achieved by the condensation to the size of a raindrop is achieved by the collision and coalescence of droplets. Okay, because the steady settling velocity of a droplet as it falls under the influence of gravity through still air, called the terminal fall speed of the droplets, increases with the size of the droplet. Those droplets in a cloud that are somewhat larger than average will have a higher terminal velocity, fall speed, and will collide with the smaller droplets lying in their path. Okay. Consider a single droplet of radius r1, let us say. Okay, there are two droplets, let us say. One is having the radius r1, and let's say this is called the collector drop. Okay, that is overtaking a smaller droplet of radius r2. Okay, a bigger droplet of radius r1 is collecting or overtaking a smaller droplet of radius r2. Okay, so this is shown in this diagram. Okay, this is a larger drop of radius r1 and this is a smaller drop. Okay, smaller drop of radius r2. Okay, as this is falling down, its fall speed or terminal fall speed will be larger than compared to this droplet. And so this will collide with each other, merge with each other, or collect this droplet and become one, okay, by overtaking, as shown in this figure, okay, which shows the relative motion of a smaller droplet with respect to a collected droplet, okay. This y is the distance of separation, distance between the two droplets, okay. Y is the maximum impact parameter for a droplet of radius r2 with a collected drop of radius r1, which depends on the distance between the two droplets. So as the collected drop approaches, this drop approaches the smaller droplet, the latter will tend to follow the streamlines around the collected drop and thereby might avoid capture. Okay, so many things happen. It can collide and merge into one, or it will follow the streamlines around these larger droplets, and this will avoid getting captured. This can also drift away according to the streamlines around these bigger droplets and avoid capturing. Okay. So we define an effective collision cross section. Effective collision cross section in terms of the parameter y. Okay, this is y is now indicating the effective collision cross section, which actually depends on the distance of separation between the two droplets. Okay, so this effective collision cross section represents the critical distance between the center fall line of the collector droplet, that is this line, okay, of the collector droplet, and the center of the droplet, smaller one, measured at a larger distance from the collector drop. That just makes a grazing collision with the collector drop. Okay, so this y, which is the effective collision cross section, will depend upon the size of these two droplets, R1 and R2. Okay. So if the center of a droplet of radius R2 is any closer than y, okay, to the center fall line of the collected droplet of R1, it will collide with the droplet. Okay. So if this center of this droplet is less than the distance y, or collision cross section, then it will collide. If this is more than the distance or collision cross section, then it will avoid being collected, or it will sweep away. Okay. Conversely, if the center of a droplet of radius r2 is at a greater distance than y from the center of fall line, it will not collide with the collector drop. Okay. So the effective collision cross section of the collector drop for droplets of radius r2 is then given by pi y square. This is the effective collision cross section. Okay, and given by pi y square. Whereas the geometrical collision cross section is pi times r1 plus r2 square. Okay, so this is the geometrical collision cross section, which is pi times r1 plus r2 square, and pi y square is the effective collision cross section. Okay, so the collision efficiency E of the droplet of radius r2 with a drop of radius r1 is therefore defined as E, the collision efficiency, is equal to the ratio of y square divided by r1 plus r2 square. This is called the collision efficiency between the two droplets, bigger drop and the smaller droplet. Okay. Yes, so this is equation number 13. So determination of the values of the collision efficiency is a difficult mathematical problem, particularly when the drop and the droplets are similar in size, in which case they strongly affect each other's motion. Okay, especially when R1 is almost similar to or equal to R2, then this calculation of E becomes a bit difficult. Okay. Computed values of E are shown in next figure, okay, from which it can be seen that the collision efficiency increases markedly as the size of the collector drop increases, and that the collision efficiencies for collector drops less than about 20 micron in radius are quite small. Okay, so the size of this collector drop is smaller than the 20 micron meter size. Okay, then the collision efficiency is much smaller. Okay, and in the next diagram, where is 16? Yeah, in the next diagram, we show the variation of the collision efficiency with different radius R2 of the smaller droplets. Okay, smaller droplets. So when the collector drop is much larger than the droplet, the collision efficiency is small because the droplet tends to follow closely the streamlines around the collector drops. You've seen that. As the size of the droplet increases, E increases because the droplet tends to move more nearly in a straight line rather than follow the streamlines. Okay. When the droplets are larger in size, then the droplets would rather move straight rather than following the streamlines around the collector drop. However, as R2 by R1 increases from 0.6 to 0.9, the collision efficiency falls off, particularly for the smaller collector drops, because the terminal fall speeds of the collector drop and the droplets approach one another, so the relative velocity between them is very small. Okay, so it all depends upon what is the size distribution of the water droplets. Finally, however, as R2 by R1 approaches unity, that means when they become almost equal, right, E tends to increase, the collision efficiency tends to increase again because two nearly equal sizes drops interact strongly, producing the closing velocity between them. Okay, and that is shown in this figure for different values of R1 and R2. R1 are the collector droplet size, different size of the collector droplets, 20 micron, 30 micron, 60 micron, etc. And versus the size of the smaller droplets from 0 to 70 micron. And for each pair of R1 and R2, the collision efficiency is plotted here in this diagram, in the y-axis. Okay, so it shows the calculated value of collision efficiency for collector drops of radius R1 with droplets of radius R2. The next issue to be considered is whether a droplet is captured. That is, does collisions occur, okay, when it collides with a drop? See, microphysical processes are very interesting. The microphysical processes that occur inside the cloud are quite interesting and also quite complex. Okay. Now the point is whether the two droplets which are colliding with each other, will they merge into one, coalesce with one, become a single droplet or not? Okay. And that also depends. Sometimes after collision, the droplets will get deflected away from each other rather than getting merged. That also can happen, right? And sometimes they can merge into each other and become a bigger droplet. Okay, so those things are explained further. Yeah. What shall we do? Shall we, again, it's almost 2. Shall we stop for today? Are you hearing me? 10 to 2. Hello? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So, shall we continue or we shall continue in the next class for today? Almost 2, 10 to 2. What do you say?
So maybe we can,
Everybody. What is that?
we can continue next.
Okay, great. So at least we can finish this part, right? So it is known from the laboratory experiments that droplets can bounce off one another, okay, or off a plane surface of water, as shown in this diagram. Suppose if you have a plane surface of water, okay. So if water droplets are falling into that, it can bounce also, right? Rather than becoming one with the water, body merging with the water, it can bounce also, depending upon at what angle the droplet is colliding with this water surface. It will either merge or it can bounce off, right? So, and that is demonstrated by the laboratory experiments, okay, as shown in this figure, okay. So this figure shows a stream of water droplets entering from the right, okay, it is entering from the right, about 100 meter in diameter, 100 meter in diameter, rebounding from a plane surface of water, okay. This should not be meter, there has to be micrometer, it cannot be so large, okay. So micrometer diameter rebounding from a plane surface of water, as shown in this diagram, okay. And that depends on the angle at which the droplets are falling onto the bigger drops or bigger water surface, bigger water body. And in this diagram, the angle is slightly different, okay. It is more vertical, okay. Here it is less vertical, more horizontal, okay. It is more vertical. So in this diagram, when the angle between the stream of droplets and the surface of water is increased beyond a critical value, the droplet coalesces with the water, okay. When this angle of collision between droplets and the water body is increased beyond a critical value, then it will coalesce or merge with this one. Whereas in the other case, when the angle is smaller, this angle of collision is smaller, then it can bounce away and will not merge with the water droplet, okay, bigger water surface. So this occurs when air becomes trapped between the colliding surfaces so that they deform without actually touching. Okay, when sometimes air can be trapped inside the droplets. Okay, so when the air is trapped, the droplets, rather than merging with each other, can bounce or get deflected away. Okay, in effect, the droplet rebounds on a cushion of air. If the cushion of air is squeezed out before a rebound occurs, the droplet will make physical contact with the drop and collisions will occur, as shown in this right panel diagram. Okay, so the angle of collision is very, very important, is very critical, that whether the droplet will bounce away or whether it will coalesce with the water, bigger droplet. Okay. So the coalescence efficiency, see, one is the collision efficiency that you have seen earlier, E, and this is the coalescence efficiency, E prime, denoted by E prime, of a droplet of radius R2 with a drop of radius R1 is defined as the fraction of collisions that result in a coalescence. So the collection efficiency, EC, is equal to the product of E and E prime, okay, where E is the collision efficiency, or you can say also collection efficiency, and E prime is the coalescence efficiency, okay, collision and coalescence, okay. So the result of laboratory measurements on coalescence are shown in this diagram, okay. The coalescence efficiency E prime is larger for very small droplets colliding with the larger drop, okay. So if the droplets sizes are too different, if the droplets are much smaller than the colliding drop, okay, then the coalescence efficiency will be larger, okay. And this figure this figure shows the coalescence efficiency. This now different line that you're seeing, the red lines are representing different coalescence efficiencies, like E prime is equal to 0.1, for E prime is equal to 0.2, 0.3, and so on up to 0.9. Okay, for different coalescence efficiency, the plot of R1 versus R2, okay, R1 versus R2 is shown in the diagram. So the coalescence efficiency E for droplets of radius R2 with collected drops of radius R1 based on an empirical fit to laboratory measurements. All right. So what does this mean? This diagram is indicating that suppose if R1 and R2 are very large, let's say R1 is 500 micron. R1 is your collector droplet radius, and R2 is your smaller droplet radius. So if the collector droplet and the collected droplet, or the bigger droplet and the smaller droplet are almost of the same size, let us say 500 micron versus the 500 micron, then in that case the coalescence efficiency will be smaller. That means the two droplets will either get deflected away from each other, will not merge directly, okay, and will not grow. Whereas if the size of the collector droplet is quite large, like 500 micrometer, whereas the size of the smaller droplet is smaller, say 100 micrometers, then the coalescence efficiency is very high, say about 0.9 in this case. In the previous case, it's say 0.1. And in this case, when the size of the collector drop is much bigger than that of the smaller droplets, then the coalescence efficiency will be much high. That means the possibilities or chances of the two droplets colliding and coalescing after that will be much larger. And this is what is shown by laboratory experiments through empirical studies and is represented in this diagram. Okay. So E prime initially decreases as the size of the droplet being collected increases. Okay. E prime initially decreases as the size of the droplet being collected, okay, increases related to the collected droplet. This is the collector droplet size, okay, and this is the size of the droplets being collected. But as the droplet and drop approaches each other in size, then E prime increases sharply. Okay, E prime increases sharply. The presence of an electric field enhances coalescence further. All these things, which we have discussed theoretically, or also people have demonstrated through the laboratory experiments, is fine when there is no electrical charges present there. But everything can change completely in the presence of electrical charges, okay, electrical field. The presence of electrical field enhances coalescence, for example, in the experiment illustrated in the last figure, okay, 17A, we call the last figure in this experiment, Okay. The droplets that bounce at a certain angle of incidence can be made to coalesce by applying an electrical field of about 10 to about 4 volts per meter. Okay, if you are applying an electrical field on that, then the one which was earlier bouncing away will rather coalesce or mix or merge with the larger droplet, which is within the range of the measured values in the clouds. Okay, this much of electrical field, which we shall study further in another chapter on atmospheric electricity. When the electrical field in the atmosphere is greater than this 4 volts per meter, and which is normally also the case true, then in the presence of the electrical field, the droplets will coalesce with each other much easier. Okay. Whereas in the absence of the electrical field, it will bounce easily, okay, away from each other. So I think for today, we're going to stop here. Okay. Okay, let us go further, maybe another few minutes more. Let us consider now a collector drop of radius r1 that has a terminal fall velocity of v1, or speed of v1. Okay. Let us suppose that this drop is falling in a still air through a cloud of equal size droplets of radius r2 with terminal velocity v2. Okay. So now we have got v1 and v2 are the terminal velocities of the two droplets, the collected droplets and the droplets being collected. Okay. We will assume that the droplets are uniformly distributed in space and that they are collected uniformly at the same rate by all collected drops of a given size. Okay. The so-called continuous collection model is illustrated in the figure 19. Okay, this figure illustrates the continuous collection model. It shows a schematic illustrating the continuous collection model for growth of a cloud droplet by collisions and coalescence. Okay, now this is a big drop, it's a very big drop, okay, called the collector drop, having radius, let us say r1, and these are smaller droplets, okay, around this bigger droplet. The fall speed or the terminal velocity of this bigger drop, let us say, is v1, and the terminal fall speed of these small droplets, let us say, is v2. Okay. So in that case, what will happen? What will happen? The bigger drop will sweep all the smaller drops, or it will coalesce with all the, or smaller droplets will coalesce with the bigger drop. The rate of increase in the mass m of the collector drop due to collision is given by, in that case, dm by dt, rate of increase of mass of the droplet, is equal to pi r1 square times v1 minus v2 times wl times ec. Okay, wl times ec, where v1 and v2 are the terminal velocities of the two droplets. M is the mass or rate of change of mass, okay, rate of increase of mass of the collector drop, that is this bigger drop. Its mass will be increasing continuously because it is coalescing with the smaller droplets, okay, is given by this expression. All right. In which case, WL that you are seeing here is actually the liquid water content, which we have discussed earlier, the liquid water content of the clouds, okay, in kilograms per cubic meter of the cloud droplets of radius r2. Okay, this is the WL, right? And I think for today we are going to stop now. Okay, but before we start the next topic, we stop for today. Is already more than 2 now. Okay, so this is what is the rate of change of mass. What is the rate of change of mass of the collector droplet when it is falling through the cloud, having large number of tiny droplets, right? So we stop here for now, all right, and we shall continue it in the next class. All right, is that okay, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, any question so far? No question.
No, sir.
Okay, so we shall stop for now. I'm going to stop sharing, right? And we shall meet today, possible in the evening class, okay, around 6:30, but I will give you a message, okay, I'll give you a message for that. A lot of activities are there for Science Day celebration today, all right? So I'll give you a message and hope you will be ready for the evening class if possible. Is that okay with all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So I'm going to stop recording now. All right. Stop recording.